Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today, by request of the buyer, I'm doing a special showcase of the Lange Sohne 1815 up-down, that is, the 1815 with power reserve. Sir, you clearly know where to find our watches, but for the rest of you viewing, check out our website at watchyouwant.com, where you can see a wide array of watches from Lange Sohne, including the 1815 collection. Now, click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time to go to our Lange selection page. Now, on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that this watch is classically proportioned and classically sized. 39 millimeters is the upper limit for a traditional men's dress watch, and that's exactly what you have here. 39 millimeters in high polish rose gold. It's beautifully rich, classical, and compact. Only 9 millimeters thick. You can also see with a domed bezel, it easily slides underneath any kind of tight sleeve or cuff. And from lug to lug, again, we're talking about traditional proportions. 46 millimeters means it wears well on a broad range of wrists. I would say down to as small as maybe 13.5 centimeters in circumference. You should be able to wear this one well. Now, it's comfortable because it is compact and slim. You'll also note that the lugs do taper sharply downward at their edge. So again, wraps itself around your wrist. If you're borderline, the lugs aren't going to appear to flare out stridently so much as gently drape around your forearm. The strap is simple, flat, and handsome. A rich medium brown with a monotone stitch and folded edges, terminating in a simple but beautifully executed high-polished rose gold Lange Sohne pin buckle. And of course, there's the famed retaining bar inside. So if you do have a smaller wrist and you strap it down to one of the smallest holes on the opposite side, it's not going to get pinned and stuck on your wrist. That's what the retaining bar does. They do think of everything in glasuta. Now, the watch features a beautiful contrast between the stepped, strong geometries of the lugs and the fluid flowing lines of the case. Now, you'll see the junction between bezel and case band creates a strong character line without being excessively pronounced. It's elegant, it's integrated, it has just enough definition and character not to appear monotonous or monolithic. The dial, however, is wonderfully executed. While the case is simple, the dial is surprisingly complex. Let's start outboard with the minutes track. Railroad style, you'll note the small flourishes at the individual hours, especially at the four corners, where there's almost a fleur-de-lis type flourish at each of the four cardinal, 12, 3, 6, and 9. Of course, it's not a fleur-de-lis, we're not in France. Nevertheless, the design nuance is appreciated. The lacquered numerals are handsome and characteristic of the 1815 collection, which features Arabic numerals, in contrast to, for instance, the Richard Lange and the Saxonia collections, which have not. Now, the watch is, of course, from the 1815 collection, named after the birth year of Ferdinand Adolf Lange, the founder of the mark in 1845. Plenty of color, and it sneaks up on you here. The hands are beautifully heat-blued, and you can see the graceful alpha-style hands at center, not the heavier Dauphine type or the rather spare baton. These are beautifully selected, pinched at the center, beautifully blued. They add a splash of color and character, as does the terminus of the up-down power reserve scale at 8 o'clock. You can see that flourish of red. It's nicely balanced by the miniature railroad track calibrations of constant seconds at 4 o'clock, and then you can see there's a small step from outer dial to center dial. As I said, more nuanced than you may suspect, more detail than you'd guess at first glance, but it cannot compare to the view on the case back, and this is truly why you buy a Lange timepiece. This is the caliber L051.2, beautifully executed in what's known as German silver. It's a nickel-copper alloy, completely untreated. It has a golden hue in contrast to steel or rhodium-plated brass. In fact, you can see how the bridges contrast with the wheels of the train itself, as well as the black polished swan's neck regulator. Now, here's the other interesting thing. The three-quarter style bridge is inspired by pocket watches. Both the metal used and the style of the bridge come from the ancestral pocket watches of glasuta, of the original Lange Sohne, but so too do the screw-fixed golden chaton. The watch has 7 of them, each one a separate removable socket for the jewel that is inset. This is how jewels would be set and removed for maintenance during the pocket watch days today. It's a romantic allusion to history, and a gorgeous one at that. Now, all of the screws, with the exception of those used for certain specialized purposes, such as capping wheels and fixing springs, case clamp screws, that sort of thing, are heat blued in a kiln, so they add rich color along with the violet of the pivot jewels and the dull gold of the plates themselves. Now, of course, a signature of every Lange watch is the hand-engraved balance cock, and you can see it here. No two are exactly the same, but each of the individual artisans, there's about 7, has a distinctive pattern, and you can distinguish which one created your component with a small booklet available during the Lange factory tours. Beating away at 21,600 vibrations per hour, it's a traditional chugging beat rate, and it allows the watch, thanks to its slower rate, with a longer power reserve, 72 hours of autonomy, solidly more than the industry standard 38 to 42. Moreover, the watch is a joy to wind, an absolute pleasure. Sounds good, feels good. It is the complete experience. And I should also mention that because this is a highly precise timepiece, when you pull the crown, you do hack the balance, stop the seconds hand, and now you can synchronize precisely to a known accurate reference time. Intellectually beautiful, aesthetically beautiful, and rare. This is an outstanding choice. Sir, congratulations. Wear yours in excellent health.